So we left New York City about 7:40 in the morning this morning, and it was just a beautiful day, crisp. The sun was high in the sky and warm, and there wasn't a lot of traffic yet out on the water, although some of the ferries were starting to run and take commuters into Manhattan. So we slowly brought the throttles up and came up on the plane, past the Statue of Liberty on our right side as we came past the start line, and then Tyson started advancing the throttles up to about 70 miles an hour, and we ran down the Hudson and off into the ocean. So we were running pretty hard leaving New York, and we were running between 65 and 70 miles an hour for the first about 60 miles, and so that was although we were running in 2 to 3 and sometimes 4-foot seas, the boat was doing a really good job of eating up those a little bit difficult conditions. And Tyson was doing a good job of keeping the boat in the water, but also getting as much speed as he possibly could out of the boat, while I was making sure that we were going on a straight line here to Bermuda. But about the 61-mile mark, we felt a very loud and violent vibration, and unfortunately we both knew instantly what that meant. And what it means is that we threw a blade off of our propeller. So our propellers have 6 blades, and they have the Cummins 5.9 engines that we have develop a tremendous amount of torque. And so sometimes the propellers aren't up to the horsepower that those engines put to them, and in this case one of the blades failed, and so that imbalance causes a very violent vibration, and that was disappointing because although we had spares, we had 2 spares. It was very early on into the race, and so we quickly came up with a plan to replace that propeller in water, which we did, and then we brought the throttles back up. But we had to be more conservative now because we only had 1 spare left. So we reduced our speed from 70 down to 55, which we proceeded onward to Bermuda at. So we ran at 55 miles an hour for about 500 miles from that point. It is a really long way to Bermuda. Most people don't realize, but it is quite a distance. And so we ran for about 500 miles, trying to be as easy as we could on the props. And about 150 miles outside of Bermuda, several hours after dark, unfortunately we experienced that vibration again, and we knew what that meant. And so the other propeller threw a blade. Yeah, absolutely. At the point where we threw the second propeller, we were ahead of the world record, but not by a tremendous amount. We still had 150 miles to go, which is a long distance, and we knew that we were down to our final spare. So one of the things that we did before we attempted that second propeller change out is to take 2 minutes and to calm down and talk through what we were about to do, because we only had 1 shot. If we had dropped the propeller or dropped the wrench or dropped the nut or the washer, then we would have had to idle in. We would have lost the world record, and it would have taken us probably several days to idle here. So it was a pretty critical propeller change out at night in underwater, and so we talked through it first, and then we were able to successfully change it out. So we were fortunate that that went well.
We've waited quite a while for a good weather window and when both of us could go, and today seemed like a pretty good weather window according to all the weather routing services, and they were pretty much right on with what they said. Everything that they said was going to be out there was out there. It was not too rough for us to go by New York City, but it was definitely rough. But they predicted that, we knew that, so we were prepared for that. Once we got in the middle, it was smoothed out a lot more, and just ran the boat. We'd have been talking a little different if we hadn't broke a prop right away, because we'd have went a lot faster and it'd have been a lot rougher.
Sure. Now you guys initially planned, what were your initial plans on arriving to Bermuda before the prop?
We planned on running The boat had 650 gallons of fuel in it, and plus all of our gear, safety gear, food. Between all that stuff, there's probably 6,000 pounds of extra weight, so it would only run about 70 miles an hour. Once it gets down to half tank of gas, it'll go 84 miles an hour. We plan on going from 70 to 84 the whole way, and going as fast as it would go. We weren't, when we first left, we weren't going to wait and try to just barely beat the record and take it easy. We wanted to go as fast as we could go, just not necessarily beat the record as bad as we could. We just wanted to get there as fast as we could. So that was the plan. But then after the first prop breaks and you only have, another spare, you slow down and start readjusting what you're going to do. We're going to try to get some more props and drive it back.
It's been almost exactly 1 year. We were here last August 4th and 5th. Yeah, it's a great question, and I really appreciate it. We wouldn't have been here without the tremendous support of a lot of different sponsors. I think we need to start with Skater Powerboats. Skater built this boat. It's a tremendous boat. It's a one-off, and it just, if you go out there and look at the boat from what we just put it through, you won't find a single bolt or a single nut or a single issue with the entire boat. It just performed phenomenally, and they have been just a tremendous partner with us in this project. So I'd like to just send a shout out to Peter at Skater for all of his support over the last year in helping us put this together. As good as the boat is, it won't go anywhere unless you've got a great power plant, and so Cummins Marine has also really stepped up and helped us out. The 5.9 liter 480 horsepower QSB engines that we have, they just ran phenomenally. Once we did have to slow down, we were actually running less than half power the whole way here, and we were still running over 55 miles an hour. I think one of the interesting things is the combination of the boat, the Cummins 5.9 engines, and the Arneson surface drives allowed us to actually significantly break the existing record, and we did so using a lot less fuel. So usually those two things don't go together, going faster and being more efficient, but the combination of the Cummins engines and Skater's 399 hull and Arneson drives really came together, and it's a pretty unique boat. But even if it's fast and efficient, you can't get here if you don't know where you're going. And so Simrad Electronics have just been great. They put a system in the boat where we've got 3 separate touchscreen GPS units. They're the NSS series, and we had to come in here at night, and we had hoped that we could make it in before dark, but since we had to slow up, we had to come in at night, and as you know, Town Cut Channel is pretty narrow. So coming 800 miles exactly through Town Cut Channel, which is only probably 100, 200 feet wide, the NSS system that we had put us right down the pipe, and that was a big relief that we could count on that. I mean, we pounded and pounded and pounded all the way here, and their system didn't even blink. So that was very helpful. A couple of the other sponsors that have helped us out, if you notice, Tyson did a lot of texting and setting up logistics and doing a lot of numbers and talking to some of our weather routers. He did that using DeLorme two-way satellite tracker and text messenger, and that was great to be able to communicate ashore to our shoreside support team. When we talk about weather routers, Mike O'Brien and his team at Applied Weather Technologies have been with us for the last few years, and what they do is probably one of the most critical aspects of the whole race, because without the right forecast, we can't even get off the dock, and as Tyson indicated, their forecast was spot on, and so we knew when we needed to run fast and when we could slow up a little bit and make our way through the rough weather and pick up time on the other side. And so they were a huge key to our victory. Marlink, which is a satellite airtime provider, partnered with us, and they provided the airtime so that people could follow along. And I think everyone that we've talked to today has been really appreciative of that service. So we definitely want to thank them for their support. And certainly last but not least, Maersk Line Limited and Apex Technologies, both our gold level sponsors, provided us the safety gear and all of the some financial funding to help us get the project off the ground and across the finish line. So we definitely want to say we really appreciate Maersk Line Limited and Apex Technologies support, because without those two companies we couldn't have made it happen. Yeah, so as I indicated, we had the DeLorme satellite two-way text messengers, and what that does is it connects to your, in this case we have iPhone personal phones, and there's an app on there which will allow you to text when you don't have cell service via a satellite uplink. And so Tyson was able to talk to our weather routers, talk to our support team here. Mark at Bermuda Yacht Services has just been fantastic, and so he even had a boat waiting for us out at the entrance to the harbor. And once we got in here, just really rolled out the red carpet, got us through customs, has got us a place to stay. I mean, we just can't thank him enough. It just really makes everything so much easier. One of the companies I didn't mention, although you saw that satellite stream, that's actually pretty hard to do when you, from a boat that's going as fast as we were. We don't have self-service, so we had to stream via satellite. And so there's a small company named Digigon, which came up with the software that allowed us to compress that video and pump it out over the uplink. And they actually built us a custom, ruggedized, waterproof computer that did that data crunching and connected to the uplink. So we really want to thank Mike Dunleavy and his team to help us put that together. Well, the first thing that, as we approached North Rock, we raised Bermuda Harbor Radio on the VHF, and they were very congratulatory and provided us safe routing around the reef and on the way in. And that, I think, was just the start of what we routinely see when we come here to Bermuda, is just a tremendous wealth and welcoming from everyone here in Bermuda. And so the second thing that we, I think, witnessed was Mark had set up a buddy boat to meet us out at the finish line and escort us in through the channel. And that was just a great relief. Since we ran so long and so hard, it was nice to not have to concentrate. We could just follow them in and get prepared to tie up to the dock and go through customs. And as we were coming through Town Cut Channel, the strobes were just going off. It was dark and we couldn't really see all of the people, but we could tell that there was dozens and dozens of people who had lined the Town Cut Channel and were taking pictures as we came through. And you know, being a weekday and it was late when we came through, that was just a great feeling. And as we tied up to the customs dock, those folks migrated down to talk to us and shake our hand and welcome us to this great country, and we really appreciate it. Yeah, my mom, she told me yesterday that she was, at the last second, she decided that she was going to fly out from Virginia Beach and wanted to be here when Tyson and I came across the finish line. And we said, well, you know, I guess we have to make it now. And she said, well, I'm going to be there. You guys will make it. Well, when we broke the first prop, we texted her and said, don't come, don't come. We might not make it. But she had faith that we would pull through, and I actually didn't know that she was here until we tied up, and so that was great to see her. And as always, she's always there to support, and it was great, really special for her to be here. Well, I think one of the things that we really enjoy boating and doing these races, but I think the thing that some people may not know that are watching along is that we also really enjoy the engineering and the design aspect of these races. And so we are working on some races, some new designs for next year that we hope will be faster, safer, and more efficient. And so I don't think you'll see the last of us here in Bermuda, and we may have some bigger plans coming shortly. So if anybody's interested, we have started a company. It's www.offshoreendurance.com, and so you can follow along as we develop some new technology and test it in some new adventures.